Whoops. Hi, I'm Rokk. Welcome to my channel. Today is a video that I hoped that I would never make. And unless you've been crawling under a rock someplace, you know that somebody leaked a Supreme Court brief, a draft, and it appears that they have decided to reverse Roe versus Wade. My mom and I have been talking a lot about this. I really wanted to get her on camera so that I could show you the perspective of two different generations of women who feel an impact of this, I think, as anybody would it's just, I realize even as I start to say those things that there are a lot of people who say that because of their deeply held religious beliefs or something, they feel that it's a law that never should have been passed and that no woman, no matter what her circumstances, should have the right to terminate a pregnancy, that it's just absolutely immoral. And I know that there's people who they have this opinion and they will never change their mind, but it's really sad that a group of, 9 people, 9 men and women, have the power to affect federal law that impacts hundreds of millions of people. And I know it's easy to say that if you don't have a uterus, you shouldn't even have a dog in the hunt. But I'm not so short-sighted that I don't understand that there can be fathers involved who are resentful if they don't feel they have a say in their paternity, what have you. But still, now that Roe is, in essence, going to be reverted back to a states' rights issue, and you can't tell me there's not going to be states that will not outlaw abortion completely, even in cases of rape and incest. I believe Texas has some pretty strict laws that when Governor Greg Abbott was specifically asked if there was any exception for rape and incest, he said no. And I'm thinking, how could any human being alive think that that is okay? And bringing back to this on a personal level, all my adult life, all my even preteen life, that I was aware of the issue. You could say I was raised as a feminist. I was very lucky that I was able to have access to all kinds of women's magazines in the waiting rooms of doctors' offices that I was in, not only for, my pediatrician. Obviously, you probably wouldn't have those kind of magazines, but because I was such a well-behaved little girl, went with my mother whenever she had her doctor's appointments and things. So I had access to information that you would say would even be beyond your cultural or reading level. I knew about contraception and I knew about abortion and things from the time I was like 10, 11 years old, right? So I've never not known the freedom of bodily autonomy. And I have more experiences than I could fill up in a single video of my personal relationship with various Planned Parenthoods in different cities I've lived in, and how they have, and I give them credit for this, they have kept me disease-free. They have been a shoulder to vent when I had nobody to talk to about being abused. They were a source of ways to give me information and to keep me safe and to give me all the diagnostic tests that a person of reproductive age would have to take care of their body and to protect themselves. And sometimes Planned Parenthood was my only source of health care. I cannot imagine living in a world where I would not have had a safety net, that if something had happened, despite my efforts of being responsible and doing the right thing, and of course having access to the medicine and the technology that you didn't have in the 40s, but now not having, I just never thought that I would live in a world without Roe, and I really honestly never thought that there was that much of a chance of it being reversed. I honestly, I'm going to need some time to process this now. As soon as I saw the news, I was watching Fox News Channel, and I kept it on till about 2 o'clock in the morning. And finally, I realized it was just more and more people that if didn't have any doubt as to how they felt about this, they certainly, and half of them were men, of course, saying how this law was bad law and it never should have been passed in the first place, blah, blah, blah. I was really glad to hear Alan Dershowitz say that he disagreed with the ruling. And I was also glad to see that Leo 2.0 Terrell, the civil rights lawyer who I so much admire, he didn't say specifically how he felt about Roe being most likely reversed. Now, you do know that what they found was a draft from February of 2022, I guess. So that doesn't mean that that's not going to be set in stone. But that said, supposedly, since this is something that's never happened, they've never had a leak at the Supreme Court level, and but supposedly that's going to put even more pressure on the Supreme Court to, instead of taking their time, which is supposed to be up to June, to hurry up and make this a fact. And that's just sickening to think about. Look, yes, I am a Republican, but I have always been pro-choice, and I know that I'm obviously not the only pro-choice Republican. There's lots of reasons to align yourself with one party or another, and I think it all boils down to where the majority of your most important positions lie. But if ever there was a time to illustrate why it just seems so wrong that in order to be an electable candidate of either party, you have to really toe certain party lines as far as what your stand is, so that if you were a pro-choice Republican, you would probably have no choice of getting elected. And meanwhile, it's making it harder and harder for feminists who otherwise agree with so many of the Republican Party's platforms. But then the sad thing is about having a president is, and they have the right to uh, pretty much get whatever kinds of Supreme Court justices they can get in. And of course, they're going to probably follow basic ideology. But anyway, I didn't think that those guys would have reversed Roe. I'm just really sick to my stomach. Oh, yeah, I forgot to. I had uh, two props to bring out and everything. I had this wire coat hanger, and I had one that looks even more creepy. My original plan for this was to go find a vacant, a really scary looking alley, back alley, and get dressed up and go do it there. But the more I thought about it, I was really thinking about my personal safety. And then in the distance, I could hear gunshots that weren't on our street, but seemed like they were about 5 or 6 blocks away. And it just made me think, you know what? Maybe I really don't need to be out there. Times like this, I really wish I had a security detail, or at least somebody locally who I could call up and say, hey, I need to do something between this time and that time, and I need security or whatever. It's like in California, I would have no problem, but where I'm at, I don't. So anyway, California, by the way, I understand they are going to be a sanctuary state, and they are going to have a special fund set aside so that if you are in need to terminate your pregnancy and you're in one of these states that restricts it or doesn't allow it, you can go over there. I don't know the details of the law, but I believe that's something that Gavin Newsom did, and if so, I will have to give him credit for doing something right. But then, a watch clock is right twice a day. So, to my fellow feminists, yeah, this is a really bad time that we're entering into now. And if you are not a Democrat and then you, like myself, have a lot to process, because you still have to think about priorities. But still, the whole idea of being, if we do not have federally protected right to a safe legal abortion, there's going to be forced pregnancies forced to come to term, including rape and incest and other things that are catastrophic, even emotionally. And because of this, we females will never be able to have totally equal rights to males. Because I have an XX chromosome instead of an XY, I cannot be the equal to a man. and now the government has a right over my body. I've lost my bodily autonomy. The ramifications of this are really scary. Now it almost makes a joke of the Constitution of men and women being equal. By virtue of being female, I never will be truly equal to a male. And I think this goes in, even if you have to go into theoretically, even if it doesn't, even if certain biological things don't follow anymore with aspect of fertility and stuff. Still, the idea that a female, by the virtue of her potential fertility, she does not own her body. The state owns her body, and men own her body. And it's funny, how do females get pregnant? There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of ways, and they usually involve something male. But yeah, goodbye, Ro. Alright, if you like this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. If you like me and my content, give it ring that bell. It looks like it's ringing. You won't miss anything I post. I will talk to you in a couple of days. Bye.